Can you imagine this? A man who could charm his way into anyone's life, leaving destruction in his wake. He was intelligent, good-looking, and disarmingly polite qualities that made him the perfect predator. In the late 1970s, he became one of America's most feared serial killers, responsible for at least 30 murders across multiple states. But here's the twist: he wasn't just some random stranger lurking in the shadows. No, he was someone you might have invited into your home, someone you trusted without hesitation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just any story, it's inside the mind of Ted Bundy. Before I dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. Let's rewind to Seattle in the early 1970s, a city buzzing with promise, yet unaware of the darkness brewing beneath its surface. This is where our story begins. In a quiet suburb surrounded by towering evergreens and misty skies. Picture a young man named Ted, seemingly ordinary but hiding a sinister side no one could have imagined. To his neighbors, he was friendly, always ready with a smile and a helping hand. But behind closed doors, his mind was consumed by an insatiable hunger for power, control, and violence. Ted grew up in a modest household, raised primarily by his mother after his parents split when he was still a child. From the outside, his childhood appeared unremarkable, though whispers of instability lingered among those who knew him well. As a teenager, he struggled socially, often retreating into books about psychology and criminology. Little did anyone know, these interests would later fuel his transformation into one of history's most notorious figures. By the time he reached adulthood, Ted had mastered the art of deception, becoming a master manipulator capable of charming anyone he met. In 1974, the first signs of trouble emerged. Young women began disappearing across Washington state, their fates unknown until their bodies were found dumped in remote locations. Each victim shared striking similarities: beautiful, blonde, and vibrant, all lured under false pretenses by a man who seemed too kind to be dangerous. At first, law enforcement dismissed the cases as isolated incidents, but as more victims vanished, patterns began to emerge. A chilling realization settled over the community. They were dealing with a predator unlike anything they'd seen before. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered disturbing details about Ted's methods. He used disguises, impersonating authority figures like police officers or park rangers to gain trust. Once close enough, he struck swiftly, using brute force or cunning tricks to overpower his victims. What made him truly terrifying wasn't just his brutality, it was his ability to blend seamlessly into society. Between crimes, Ted lived a double life, working as a legal assistant and volunteering for political campaigns. He was the last person anyone suspected. But then came the breakthrough. On February 9, 1978, Carol Daronch narrowly escaped death after being abducted by Ted. Her harrowing account provided police with crucial evidence, including descriptions of his car and behavior during the attack. Despite her bravery, proving Ted's guilt proved nearly impossible. His charm worked wonders in court, convincing many jurors of his innocence. It wasn't until years later, when confronted with overwhelming evidence, that Ted finally confessed to his crimes. But even then, questions remained unanswered. The real shock came when psychologists began studying Ted's psyche. They discovered a man driven by deep-seated insecurities, masked by arrogance and charisma. During interviews conducted while awaiting execution, Ted revealed his fascination with domination and control. One exchange stands out. When asked why he targeted young women, he replied calmly, "Because they represented purity and innocence, qualities I wanted to destroy." These words sent chills through everyone who heard them, revealing the cold calculation behind his actions. Fast forward to 2005, and forensic psychologist Emily Carter finds herself drawn into Ted's world. While researching archives at the University of Washington, she stumbles upon previously unpublished letters written by Ted himself. The pages are filled with cryptic musings and eerie insights, offering a rare glimpse into the mind of a monster. How does someone so charming become capable of such atrocities? Emily wonders aloud during her first visit to the archive. This question sets her on a decade-long quest to unravel the mysteries surrounding Bundy's motivations. By 2010, advancements in DNA technology offer new tools for analyzing evidence collected decades earlier. Investigators revisit old crime scenes, hoping modern techniques will uncover leads missed during the original investigation. One breakthrough involves matching genetic material found on a cigarette butt at one of Ted's suspected crime scenes to his profile. This discovery reignites interest in long-dormant cases across multiple states, prompting law enforcement agencies to share information freely for the first time. Could there be even more victims than originally thought? Detective Mark Thompson asks, during a press conference, his voice heavy with both hope and dread. Meanwhile, Emily delves deeper into Bundy's psychological makeup. She studies interviews conducted with him by renowned criminologists during his imprisonment, piecing together fragments of information to form a clearer picture of the man or monster behind the mask. A particularly haunting exchange stands out. When asked about his feelings toward his victims, Ted described killing as a game, explaining, "You either win or lose." These words shake Emily to her core, making her question whether true understanding of such evil is even possible. Years pass, and the case continues to evolve. In 2016, a former cellmate of Ted's comes forward with disturbing claims about conversations they had in prison. According to this witness, Ted confessed to additional murders not included in official records, detailing specific techniques he used to manipulate people. He didn't seem remorseful, the witness recalls. It was like he was just discussing business strategies. This testimony prompts renewed scrutiny of several missing persons cases throughout the United States, focusing especially on areas where Ted traveled extensively but left little direct evidence behind. In 2018, investigators identify potential burial sites near Interstate 80 in Wyoming based on geographical profiling, combined with clues provided by Ted himself through archived letters. Excavations commence under heavy media coverage, generating anticipation and anxiety among residents whose loved ones disappeared without explanation. By 2020, significant progress has been made in identifying previously unknown victims. Forensic anthropologists analyze remains recovered from remote locations, bringing closure to grieving families, while simultaneously deepening society's collective unease about the extent of Ted's crimes. Public forums emerge online, allowing descendants of victims to share stories and support one another in ways unimaginable during Ted's active years. Through these discussions, a pattern emerges. Each victim was carefully chosen. Their lives ended not out of hatred, but because they fit a specific mold in Ted's twisted fantasy. For every answer uncovered, new mysteries arise. What exactly caused Ted Bundy to become who he was? Was it nature or nurture, or something far darker? Now let's fast forward to 2023, where advancements in artificial intelligence offer unprecedented opportunities to analyze large datasets related to Bundy's case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifts through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings suggest possible ties between Bundy's actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout the Pacific Northwest during the 1970s. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something larger? Brian asks, during a live session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. The atmosphere shifts dramatically as public interest in Bundy's case grows once again. Social media platforms buzz with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," says Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near Seattle. Her voice cracks with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. And here's the twist. Despite everything we've learned, fundamental questions remain unanswered. Did Ted act alone, or were others involved in his rampage? Could his crimes have inspired copycats still operating today? These queries weigh heavily over the conclusion of our narrative, reminding us that while much has been learned since Bundy's time, much remains mysterious. For every answer uncovered, new questions arise. As Emily puts it poignantly during a final interview, we may never fully understand Ted Bundy or anyone like him, but understanding ourselves better might help stop others from following in his footsteps. So, as we close this chapter of exploration into one man's descent into madness, let us consider what lessons it holds for humanity moving forward. Because only by confronting our darkest fears can we hope to illuminate paths toward light and redemption. Or will the shadows always hold sway, reminding us of the limits of human understanding? What do you think happened to the victims whose stories remain untold? Let me know in the comments below. Did Ted operate alone, or was he part of something bigger? Your input matters, and it shapes the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out, and hit send. I'll see you there. In the upcoming chapter, The Vanishing Lights of Stee's National Conservation Area. Deep within the vast wilderness of Alaska, lies the Stees National Conservation Area, a place where towering mountains meet endless forests and rivers carved through rugged landscapes. It's a land of breathtaking beauty, but also one shrouded in secrets that few dare to uncover. This is not just a story about nature, it's a psychological journey into the unknown. In the heart of this remote area, something unnatural was stirring. It wasn't just the wind rustling through the trees, or the occasional hoot of an owlet was something far more sinister. Locals whispered about strange lights glowing deep within the woods at night, accompanied by eerie howls that no one could explain. Some claimed they saw shadowy figures moving silently between the trees, while others swore they heard whispers carried on the breeze, voices speaking in tongues unknown to man. One evening, under the pale light of a full moon, a group of explorers decided to confront the darkness head-on. Armed with flashlights and makeshift weapons, they ventured into the forest, determined to uncover the truth. They moved cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of leaves beneath them. As they delved deeper, the air grew colder, and an oppressive weight settled upon their chests. The once familiar woods now felt alien, as if the very trees were watching them. Hours passed, and nothing seemed amiss. Just when hope began to flicker, the group stumbled upon an abandoned cabin hidden among the pines. Its windows were shattered, and vines snaked through the cracks in its walls. Inside, they discovered remnants of a lifelong forgotten rusty tools, tattered clothing, and photographs scattered across the floor. But one item stood out above the rest, a journal, its pages yellowed with age. Flipping through its entries, they read accounts of sightings, descriptions of monstrous beings lurking in the shadows, and warnings scrawled in frantic handwriting. Whoever lived here had met a gruesome end, but not before documenting the horror that consumed them. As dawn approached, the group returned to their campsite, shaken but resolved. They shared the contents of the journal with anyone willing to listen, hoping to rally support for another expedition. This time, they prepared traps, baiting them with raw meat laced with sedatives. If whatever roamed the woods was indeed responsible for the disappearances, they planned to capture either, at least understand it. Weeks turned into months, and still, nothing happened. The forest remained eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves. Just when doubt began to creep in, the unthinkable occurred. One morning, the group found one of their traps triggered, the bait gone, and a trail of massive paw prints leading away from the site. Following the tracks, they eventually reached a clearing bathed in an unnatural glow. There, illuminated by an ethereal light, stood a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering at least 10 feet tall, it resembled a wolf, yet bore features distinctly human-like. Its eyes burned with an intelligence both calculating and merciless. Paralyzed with fear, the group watched as the beast stared back at them, unblinking. For what felt like an eternity, neither side moved. Finally, the creature let out a guttural roar that shook the ground beneath their feet, then disappeared into the underbrush as quickly as it had appeared. The group retreated, hearts pounding and minds racing. They had seen the source of the terror plaguing the area, but understanding it was another matter entirely. Word of the encounter spread rapidly, drawing attention from researchers, paranormal investigators, and thrill-seekers alike. Among them was Dr. Droslaw Say Paranormal Investigators. Eleanor Carter, a renowned anthropologist specializing in cryptozoology. She arrived in the area armed with cutting-edge technology and a determination to unravel the mystery. Her findings revealed startling connections between the creature and ancient Native American folklore, specifically tales of the Wendigo, a malevolent spirit said to embody insatiable hunger and greed.
Dr. Carter hypothesized that the creature might not be entirely natural, but rather a manifestation of human fears and desires given form by some unknown force. This theory gained traction when locals recounted seeing the creature moments before losing loved ones to tragic accidents or acts of violence. Could the Wendigo feed not just on flesh, but on emotions? The idea sent shivers down everyone's spines. Despite her efforts, Dr. Carter couldn't fully explain the phenomenon. What she did manage to achieve, however, was raising awareness about the importance of respecting nature and acknowledging the mysteries that lie beyond human comprehension. While the creature hasn't been spotted since, the people who live near Stees remain vigilant, knowing that somewhere in the depths of the forest, the Wendigo waits, watching. But this isn't where the story ends. In fact, it barely scratches the surface of what truly transpired in Stees National Conservation Area. It started subtly. A farmer would find his livestock torn apart, their bodies left drained of blood. Then came the stories of hunters venturing too far into the woods, never returning. The townsfolk tried to rationalize these events, attributing them to bears or cougars roaming the area. Yet, no predator in nature could explain the chilling details: claw marks larger than any animal's, footprints that defied logic, and an unsettling silence that followed every incident. One evening, under the pale light of a full moon, a group of brave souls decided to confront the darkness head-on. Armed with flashlights and makeshift weapons, they ventured into the forest, determined to uncover the truth. They moved cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of leaves beneath them. As they delved deeper, the air grew colder, and an oppressive weight settled upon their chests. The once familiar woods now felt alien, as if the very trees were watching them. Hours passed, and nothing seemed amiss. Just when hope began to flicker, the group stumbled upon an abandoned cabin hidden among the pines. Its windows were shattered, and vines snaked through the cracks in its walls. Inside, they discovered remnants of a lifelong forgotten rusty tools, tattered clothing, and photographs scattered across the floor. But one item stood out above the rest: a journal, its pages yellowed with age. Flipping through its entries, they read accounts of sightings, descriptions of monstrous beings lurking in the shadows, and warnings scrawled in frantic handwriting. Whoever lived here had met a gruesome end, but not before documenting the horror that consumed them. As dawn approached, the group returned to their campsite, shaken but resolved. They shared the contents of the journal with anyone willing to listen, hoping to rally support for another expedition. This time, they prepared traps, baiting them with raw meat laced with sedatives. If whatever roamed the woods was indeed responsible for the disappearances, they planned to capture either, at least understand it. Weeks turned into months, and still, nothing happened. The forest remained eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves. Just when doubt began to creep in, the unthinkable occurred. One morning, the group found one of their traps triggered, the bait gone, and a trail of massive paw prints leading away from the site. Following the tracks, they eventually reached a clearing bathed in an unnatural glow. There, illuminated by an ethereal light, stood a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering at least 10 feet tall, it resembled a wolf, yet bore features distinctly human-like. Its eyes burned with an intelligence both calculating and merciless. Paralyzed with fear, the group watched as the beast stared back at them, unblinking. For what felt like an eternity, neither side moved. Finally, the creature let out a guttural roar that shook the ground beneath their feet, then disappeared into the underbrush as quickly as it had appeared. The group retreated, hearts pounding and minds racing. They had seen the source of the terror plaguing the area, but understanding it was another matter entirely. The next chapter begins with a twist tone that delves deeper into the psychology of those affected by the events in Stees. After weeks of silence, the group began noticing subtle changes in themselves. Sleep became elusive, dreams turned into nightmares filled with grotesque imagery of the creature they had encountered. Conversations grew strained, trust eroded, and paranoia set in. Each member of the group began questioning whether the others were hiding something or worse, whether they had become hosts for whatever entity haunted the forest. Eli, a photographer who had joined the expedition seeking inspiration, found himself particularly affected. At first, he dismissed his growing unease as mere exhaustion. But soon, the whispers returned, not external, but internal. Voices spoke in fragments, repeating phrases like, "You're next," and "Leave while you still can." Despite his growing fear, Eli pressed on, convinced there had to be some rational explanation. His final entry reads, "I'm starting to wonder if the house isn't haunted at all. Perhaps it feeds on fear, amplifying it until it consumes your mind entirely. If I leave tonight, will I still believe what I've seen?" So, what do you believe? Are the whispers real, or are they merely echoes of our subconscious fears brought to life? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, sometimes the scariest monsters aren't lurking in the dark. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to listen.
It was a chilling autumn evening in the dense forests of Washington state. The air carried an eerie stillness, broken only by the rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls. Emily Carter found herself stranded after her car skidded off the narrow mountain road during a sudden downpour. Her heart pounded as she realized how far she was from civilization. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Emily had always been adventurous, but this trip to the Pacific Northwest seemed different somehow. She had planned a solo camping adventure near Mount Rainier National Park, hoping to escape the chaos of city life. Little did she know that fate would lead her into something far more terrifying than she could ever imagine. As darkness fell over the forest, Emily decided to set up camp under the cover of ancient trees. The moonlight barely penetrated through the thick canopy above, casting long shadows across the forest floor. At around 9:30 p.m., she first heard a faint whisper carried by the wind. Then came the sound of footsteps, deliberate, slow, and methodical. The hairs on her neck stood up as she noticed strange markings carved into nearby tree trunks, symbols she couldn't recognize. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was it some kind of ritualistic sign, or perhaps just another camper's graffiti? But deep down, she felt uneasy. Something about these marks didn't feel right. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the woods as a branch snapped nearby. Emily froze, her flashlight beam trembling as she scanned her surroundings. That's when she saw him, a figure standing at the edge of her light's reach, tall and thin, with glowing eyes that pierced through the darkness. He wasn't moving, just watching, waiting. Her instincts told her to run, but before she could gather her courage, another presence emerged from deeper within the forest. This one was different, massive, towering, covered in dark fur. Its form moved silently, despite its size. Emily's breath caught in her throat as both figures locked eyes for what felt like eternity. They simply stared at each other. Then it happened. The thin man lunged toward her. In that split second, everything changed. The large creature reacted faster than she thought possible, intercepting the attacker with a single powerful motion. What followed was a chaotic struggle between the two beings' growls, snarls, and the chilling sound of bones breaking. Emily watched in disbelief as the mysterious beast fought fiercely to protect her. Though terrified, she couldn't help but notice how intelligent its movements were, not animalistic, almost human-like. After what seemed like hours but was likely mere minutes, the fight ended abruptly. The attacker lay motionless on the ground while the protector stood guard over Emily. Gathering her wits, she slowly approached the creature. To her astonishment, it allowed her close proximity without speaking. There was an understanding between Thena's silent agreement that she wouldn't harm him if he kept her safe. They spent the night together under the watchful eyes of countless stars. The atmosphere shifted from fear to cautious gratitude as dawn broke, transforming the forest dramatically. Golden sunlight filtered through the trees, chasing away the previous night's horrors. Emily knew she needed to leave, but so did her savior. Before parting ways, they shared one final moment of connection and unspoken promise never to forget this encounter. Back in Seattle days later, Emily tried returning to normal life, yet something gnawed at her thoughts constantly. Who or what exactly saved her life that fateful night? And why did those symbols appear specifically around her campsite? Determined to find answers, she began researching local legends. Stories of Bigfoot sightings became increasingly familiar. Could her protector truly be one of these elusive creatures? But there was more, much more. As she dug deeper, disturbing patterns emerged regarding missing persons cases throughout the region. Each victim disappeared near similar symbol-marked areas. Coincidence, or evidence of something darker lurking in the shadows? Haunted by questions without answers, Emily vowed to uncover the truth, even if doing so meant risking another encounter with either her savior or its deadly adversary. Because now she understood some things aren't meant to remain hidden forever, and sometimes salvation comes from places we least expect. The next chapter of Emily's journey began weeks later when she returned to the forest armed with new knowledge and determination. She revisited the area where she had encountered the creature, hoping to piece together the puzzle. Along the way, she stumbled upon remnants of clothing buried beneath fallen leaves and moss items believed to belong to past victims. Nearby, more mysterious footprints dotted the soft earth, some nearly twice the size of normal human steps. Authorities sealed off the area indefinitely, citing safety concerns for future visitors venturing too far off designated trails. As days turned into months, theories abounded regarding Emily's fate. Cryptozoologists analyzed the video footage frame by frame, debating whether the creature caught on film could indeed be evidence of Sasquatch existence. Skeptics argued it was merely a well-placed costume or optical illusion caused by lighting conditions. However, none could explain the sheer terror etched onto Emily's face as she confronted whatever lurked in those woods. 1 year later, hikers stumbled upon something disturbing deep within Blackwater National Park, remnants of clothing partially buried beneath fallen leaves and moss. Nearby, more peculiar tracks led investigators further into the wilderness. Rangers warned against overnight stays in the vicinity due to numerous reports of unsettling encounters since Emily's vanishing act. For many Americans, especially those living near wooded regions where such legends thrive, the possibility of Sasquatch remained tantalizingly real, whether mythical beast or misunderstood creature. Its presence continued to haunt their collective imagination. And perhaps, somewhere deep within Blackwater National Park, amidst ancient trees and shadowy clearings, Emily's unanswered questions lingered alongside the cryptic entity that took her away that fateful night. What do you think happened to Emily? Let me know in the comments below. Did her protector truly belong to the realm of myth, or was there something even darker at play? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more spine-tingling stories like this one. Your curiosity keeps us going. Conspiracy theories uncovered. Dark secrets and midnight tales for curious minds. Imagine this: a quiet evening in a small town where the only sounds are the soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of crickets. But then, out of nowhere, you hear it, a faint whisper carried by the wind, speaking words that seem almost intentional. You pause, your heart skipping a beat as you try to make sense of what just happened. Was it real, or was it just your imagination playing tricks on you? Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Fun. We love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. Fun. So go ahead, drop a comment below, and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. This wasn't an isolated incident. Across the country, people began reporting similar experiences, strange occurrences that seemed to defy logic. In one case, a man claimed he heard voices coming from his radio late at night, even though it was turned off. Another described seeing shadows moving outside her window, shapes that couldn't possibly belong to anything natural. These stories piled up, each more bizarre than the last, until they caught the attention of someone who decided to investigate further. Then, this person wasn't a professional detective or scientist. They were just an ordinary individual with a keen sense of curiosity and a knack for uncovering hidden truths. Living in a modest home surrounded by dense woods, they spent their evenings poring over old books, articles, and online forums, piecing together fragments of information that others had dismissed as mere coincidence. The room where they worked was filled with the comforting scent of aged paper and faint traces of coffee, creating an atmosphere both calming and charged with anticipation. Then, as days turned into weeks, patterns started emerging. There were references to secret organizations operating in plain sight, manipulating global events without anyone realizing it. Some spoke of advanced technologies hidden away in classified facilities, while others hinted at knowledge so ancient it predated recorded history. Each discovery led to more questions, building a web of intrigue that grew thicker with every passing day. But then came the turning point, the moment when everything changed. While researching late one night, they stumbled upon a document buried deep within a forgotten corner of the internet. It wasn't much at first glance, a simple text file with no author listed, but as they read through it, their pulse quickened. The document outlined a series of events spanning decades, connecting seemingly unrelated incidents into a single, cohesive narrative. Governments falling, economies collapsing, technological breakthroughs appearing out of nowhere, all tied together by threads so subtle they could easily be overlooked. Then, the conflict deepened as they realized the implications of what they'd uncovered. If true, this meant the world wasn't as random or chaotic as it appeared. Instead, it was being carefully guided by forces working behind the scenes, pulling strings to achieve goals known only to them. And worse yet, these forces weren't acting altruistically. Their motives remained unclear, but the evidence suggested their actions often came at great cost to those unaware of their existence. Then, just as they delved deeper into the mystery, strange things began happening around them. Files disappeared from their computer without explanation. Notes vanished overnight, leaving no trace behind. Even stranger, they started receiving anonymous messages, texts, emails, even phone calls that seemed to warn them to stop digging. At first, they brushed it off as paranoia, but the persistence of these warnings made it hard to ignore. Then came the twist. One evening, after another long session of research, they received a message unlike any other. It didn't come via email or text. Instead, it appeared directly on their screen, typed out letter by letter, as if someone or something was watching them type. The message was short but powerful. You're closer than you think. Then, that single sentence shattered their world. Who sent it? How did they know? More importantly, Why were they being targeted now? The answers eluded them, but the message sparked a chain reaction of events that would forever alter their understanding of reality. Then, the climax hit hard. Over the next few days, they discovered connections between the mysterious phenomena they'd been studying and individuals they knew personally. Friends, family members, even colleague Soul seemed entangled in ways they couldn't have imagined. The boundaries between conspiracy theory and everyday life blurred, forcing them to confront uncomfortable truths about the people and institutions they trusted most. Then, in the end, they reached a conclusion both enlightening and unsettling. The world, as we understand it, is built on layers of secrets, some harmless, others devastating. Uncovering these secrets isn't always about exposing villains or saving humanity. Sometimes it's about accepting that the truth is far more complex than we can ever comprehend. Then, as the days stretched into weeks, the curious mind behind this investigation found themselves entangled in a web far more intricate than they had initially imagined. The message, "You're closer than you think," resonated in their thoughts day and night, haunting them like a melody stuck in their head. They couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching, waiting for them to make the next move. The room where they worked became less of a sanctuary and more of a battlefield. Every shadow seemed darker, every sound louder. The rustling of leaves outside their window now sounded deliberate, as if nature itself were conspiring against them. Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was an undeniable thrill, a spark of excitement that kept them going despite the mounting risks. Then, one evening, while sifting through old archives, they stumbled upon a series of photographs taken decades apart, but eerily similar in composition. Each photo depicted a group of people standing near a towering monument, its design so unique it appeared almost alien. What made these images even stranger was the presence of one individual who appeared in all of them, unchanged by time. Their face, though slightly blurred in some photos, remained unmistakably the same across each image. Then, this discovery sent shockwaves through their research. Could such a thing be possible? Was this evidence of immortality? Or perhaps something far more sinister, an experiment gone wrong? Or maybe even proof of extraterrestrial involvement? The questions multiplied, each one leading to another until the entire scope of their investigation expanded beyond comprehension. Then, determined to uncover the truth, they reached out to others who might share their curiosity. Through online forums and encrypted messaging apps, they connected with individuals from around the world, all strangers, united by a common goal. Some were scientists, others historians, a few self-proclaimed conspiracy theorists, but together, they formed a network capable of pooling resources and knowledge like never before. Then, among these newfound allies was a woman living in rural Montana. She claimed to possess documents detailing a top-secret government project codenamed Erebus. According to her sources, Erebus involved experiments conducted during the mid-20th century aimed at unlocking the secrets of human consciousness. The details were sparse, but the implications were staggering. Could the strange occurrences being reported worldwide be linked to remnants of this long-forgotten initiative? Then, another ally emerged from London, a retired librarian with access to centuries-old manuscripts stored in the depths of the British Library. Among these texts, she uncovered references to ancient civilizations that possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering knowledge so profound it rivaled modern achievements. These civilizations, according to the manuscripts, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only cryptic symbols carved into stone tablets. Then, with each piece of information added to the puzzle, the picture grew clearer yet more complex. It became apparent that the phenomena they were investigating weren't isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern stretching back millennia. Civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind clues encoded in art, architecture, and language. Modern technology, it seemed, was merely rediscovering what had been lost to time. Fun. But the deeper they dug, the more dangerous the journey became. One by one, their allies began disappearing. Messages went unanswered, calls dropped unexpectedly, and accounts vanished overnight. Panic set in as they realized they might be the last person left holding the key to unraveling this mystery. Then, desperate for answers, they turned their attention to the most peculiar aspect of their findings, the recurring symbol found in nearly every document, photograph, and artifact they'd encountered. This symbol, a spiral intertwined with a starburst, appeared everywhere, from cave paintings in Africa to carvings on temples in Asia. Its meaning, however, remained elusive. Then came the breakthrough. While analyzing high-resolution scans of the photographs featuring the mysterious figure, they noticed something hidden in plain sight. Embedded within the background of each image was a faint watermark, subtle distortion resembling the spiral starburst symbol. Upon closer inspection, the watermark revealed itself to be a map, complete with coordinates pointing to locations scattered across the globe. Then, without hesitation, they decided to follow the trail, starting with the nearest location, a secluded island off the coast of Mainathe, packed their essentials, and set off under the cover of darkness. The journey wasn't easy. Obstacles seemed to appear at every turn, testing their resolve and resourcefulness. But they pressed on, driven by the promise of uncovering the ultimate truth. Then, upon reaching the island, they discovered ruins buried beneath dense foliage. The structures were unlike anything they'd ever seen. Smooth, seamless surfaces devoid of visible seams or joints. Inside, walls were covered with inscriptions written in a language neither familiar nor entirely foreign. As they translated the text using tools developed during their research, a chilling narrative unfolded. Then, The inscription spoke of a race that once inhabited Earth, possessing knowledge and abilities far surpassing those of humans. These beings, referred to as the architects, created humanity as a means of preserving their legacy after their civilization faced extinction. However, not all was as it seemed. The architects' intentions weren't purely altruistic. They viewed humans as vessels, meant to carry forward fragments of their consciousness until the day they could return. Then, the twist came when they realized the truth about the mysterious figure appearing in the photographs. It wasn't a single individual, but rather a manifestation of the architect's consciousness, existing simultaneously across different timelines. This explained why the figure remained unchanged over decades. It wasn't bound by the constraints of linear time. Then, armed with this revelation, they understood the gravity of their situation. The messages, warnings, and disappearances weren't random acts of intimidation, but calculated moves by forces still loyal to the architects. These entities, known as guardians, ensured the secrets remained hidden, protecting the balance between worlds. Then, the climax hit when they uncovered the final piece of the puzzle, a device concealed within the ruins, designed to awaken dormant memories stored within human DNA. Activating it would unlock untapped potential, granting access to knowledge and abilities previously unimaginable. But with great power came great responsibility and risk. If misused, the device could destabilize reality itself, plunging the world into chaos. Then, faced with this dilemma, they made a choice that would define their legacy. Instead of activating the device immediately, they documented its existence and shared the information with trusted allies worldwide. By dispersing the knowledge, they hoped to prevent any single entity from monopolizing its power. Then, in the aftermath, life returned to a semblance of normalcy, though nothing was truly the same. The world continued spinning, oblivious to the revelations unearthed by one curious mind. Yet deep down, they knew the truth: the universe was infinitely more vast, mysterious, and interconnected than anyone dared to imagine. Then, so, what do you think happened to the curious mind behind this investigation? Did they succeed in awakening humanity to its true potential, or did they merely scratch the surface of something far greater? Let me know in the comments below. Share your theories, your wildest guesses, and your deepest musings. Together, we can continue exploring the mysteries that bind us all. And remember, sometimes the best stories aren't the ones we hear, but the ones we create together. Thank you for joining me tonight. Sleep well, dream big, and until next time, keep questioning. Then, so, what do you think happened to the curious mind behind this investigation? Let me know in the comments below. Did they uncover the ultimate truth? Or did they simply scratch the surface of something infinitely larger? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is always stranger than fiction.